What if sharks weren't actually hunting for food, but something far more sinister? Welcome back to Too Long Didn't Watch. Today, we are speedrunning the latest 2026 monster thriller movie, The Bay. To survive and make it back to shore, this group of tourists must face life-or-death moral choices where human nature is tested to its absolute limit. Emma and Lonnie travel to a resort island in Thailand to attend a friend's wedding. At the wedding reception, they meet Mandel, a handsome and humorous marine biologist who runs an eco-tour boat. Mandel enthusiastically invites the two women to join him on an exclusive, off-the-grid tour to a secluded shark sanctuary, an experience money can't buy. Emma is initially reluctant, but after strong persuasion from Lonnie and Mandel, she agrees to go. The next morning, under clear skies, Emma and Lonnie meet Mandel at the dock. Accompanied by his first mate, Ruhan, they board the modest sightseeing boat and set off into open waters. Lonnie excitedly films the scenery from the deck and attempts to video call her fiancé, only to discover there is zero cell service out here. Mandel, used to the lack of signal, begins explaining shark behavior and marine ecology to the group. The boat reaches the core area frequented by sharks. Ruhan brings out a large bucket of raw animal entrails. The pungent, bloody smell makes Lonnie gag, but Mandel encourages her to throw the bait into the ocean. Blood quickly spreads through the crystal-clear water. Within minutes, a shark appears. While most people see sharks as cold-blooded killers, Mandel views them as misunderstood, gentle creatures. To help Emma and Lonnie overcome their fear, he guides them to touch the shark. Emma's heart pounds, but touching the rough, sandpaper-like skin leaves her in awe of nature. The peaceful moment lasts less than 10 minutes before violent tremors shake the water. A shark gets tangled in the boat's anchor chain. Fearing damage to the hull, Ruhan uses an iron gaff hook to poke at the shark, but the struggling beast gets even more tangled. Mandel acts fast and cuts the chain to free the animal. To calm the shaken women, Mandel gently explains that the shark was unusually aggressive because she is pregnant. As they decide to head back, they realize the boat's motor was damaged during the struggle. Worse, a shark rammed the bottom, creating a breach. Water begins leaking in. While not sinking rapidly yet, sinking is inevitable. Mandel gives his only two old life jackets to Emma and Lonnie, drops the heavy anchor to slow the drift, and everyone begins bailing out water using buckets. Mandel tries the radio, but high coastal cliffs block the signal, producing only static. The small boat carries no life raft, only a few life preservers. Once water breaches the midline, the vessel will capsize into shark-infested waters. Mandel remembers a village located just on the other side of the mountain ridge. He decides to swim to shore, trek through the woods, and bring back help. Emma and Lonnie think he's insane. The water is crawling with sharks drawn by chum, including the agitated pregnant female. Mandel insists on his biological theory. Sharks rarely attack humans unprovoked as long as the person isn't bleeding or acting like panicked prey. Armed with an iron harpoon/gaff, Mandel cautiously steps off the stern and slips into the cold water. Sharks cross paths around him, but he stays calm. Near the shore, his nerves give out. He drops the spear and sprints through the final stretch, safely pulling himself onto land. The survivors on the boat breathe a sigh of relief, thinking rescue is imminent, unaware the ordeal is just beginning. Mandel plunges into the dense jungle, but all trees and pathways look identical. He loses his sense of direction and spends precious time wandering in circles. Back on the leaking vessel, water enters faster. Ruhan angrily throws down his bucket. Having witnessed shark attacks in the past, he despairingly suggests they take their own lives before falling into the water to avoid being eaten alive. Mandel finally breaks out of the thick trees. Though the village remains far off, he finds an inflatable dinghy moored near the shore. He decides to row back and rescue his group first. As the boat tilts severely and hopes fade, Mandel arrives with the dinghy. Mandel wants Emma and Lonnie to row the dinghy toward the village while he and Ruhan stay on the boat. Ruhan fiercely objects, arguing he is stronger and faster and should take the dinghy himself. During the argument, an oar slips away into the swift current. Mandel leaps into the water to grab it, but a shark bites his leg. Pain-riddled, Mandel beats the shark off with the remaining oar and gets dragged back aboard. His leg suffers a deep gash, bleeding profusely. While Emma and Lonnie try to bandage Mandel, Ruhan tries to steal the inflatable boat for himself. Mandel grabs Ruhan, insisting passengers come before crew. A fight breaks out. Mandel tells the women to get onto the dinghy. Desperate, Ruhan brutally presses down on Mandal's bleeding leg wound to incapacitate him, then lunges at the dinghy. The sudden shift in weight capsizes the dinghy, throwing Emma and Lonnie into the ocean. Ruhan rightens the dinghy and climbs aboard. Lonnie clings to the edge of the dinghy. Ruhan strikes her repeatedly with his hands and the oar until she lets go. Deprived of oars, Ruhan frantically paddles with his hands, but strong offshore currents drift him out toward open sea. Emma swims over and drags a severely injured Lonnie toward the sinking main vessel. She notices Lonnie's abdomen was stabbed with a knife during the chaos with Ruhan. Emma tries to comfort her friend, but Lonnie bleeds out and loses consciousness. Water submerges most of the sightseeing boat. Hundreds of sharks surround them. A heavily bleeding Mandal proposes a horrifying choice: throw Lonnie's body into the water to distract the feeding frenzy of sharks, giving them a small window to escape on the life preservers. Emma initially refuses in horror, but as the boat plunges under, survival takes over. Tearfully, she pushes Lonnie's body overboard. Sharks swarm in a bloody feeding frenzy. Emma and Mandal cling to a floating life ring. However, Mandal's severely bleeding leg continues to attract sharks. Realizing he will drag Emma to her death, Mandal lets go of the raft and lets himself drift away. Emma screams in anguish as Mandal is pulled underwater by sharks. Emma drifts alone on the life ring until she's awakened by a ship's horn. She spots a vessel in the distance and uses the boat radio to call for help, though language barriers make communication difficult. Fortunately, the ship spots her and pulls her aboard. Emma realizes the ship isn't a standard fishing boat, but a shark-hunting vessel. While catching her breath on deck, Emma sees a familiar figure standing near the stern. Ruhan had also been picked up by this same boat after drifting at sea. Fearing Emma will expose his selfish actions, Ruhan attacks her, strangling her throat from behind. Emma fights for her life, grabs a heavy metal winch handle / wheel on deck, and smashes it into his head. As Ruhan stumbles, Emma grabs a heavy wrench and repeatedly strikes him until he loses all ability to fight back. She kicks Ruhan off the deck into the ocean. The roar of the ship's engine drowns out Ruhan's cries for help. Emma sits coldly on the deck, watching the water as a massive shark fin glides through the red-tinted sea toward Ruhan. Sharks are never the villains of horror movies. The true monsters were humans who pushed their companions to their deaths to save themselves. When the ocean becomes an arena, survival of the fittest exposes human betrayal at its absolute worst. If you enjoy it and want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.